There's no hope with this guy Biden. He's the worst president we've ever had. There's no hope. And I say it all the time now. I started like a week ago. I didn't even realize it. I'm saying the people need hope. I go out, I see the greatest people. So we're in the middle of a pretty rough area, and it's a love fest. You see that? It's incredible. They want hope. They want to have a future. Listen to the people.
Donald Trump rallying thousands of supporters in deep blue Philadelphia in his push to win the crucial swing state. Fox News contributor Byron York joins us now. Byron, good morning to you. So this is
good morning, Will.
Clearly a strategy that's played out on numerous occasions now, whether or not it's the Bronx or, deep blue Philadelphia. It's I would have to think more than the gratification of Donald Trump's ego. There's a strategy here to peel off some voters that they consider to be important come November.
There is. You're right. South Bronx, when Trump was still actually on trial and confined to that area, then you just saw Philadelphia. He also went to Detroit. And I think there's a few reasons why he's doing it. One, it kind of rattles Joe Biden and perhaps suggests to Joe Biden that you're going to have to work hard in some areas that you thought you just had it made. And the other thing is, certainly in the case of Philadelphia and Detroit, Trump is very much trying to win Pennsylvania and Michigan. And those are popular vote contests. And if he can get more votes in the Philadelphia area, they can add to the votes that he would get in Western Pennsylvania. That's really, really important. Last reason is just the national popular vote, which Trump lost in 2016 and 2020. Getting closer this time would be better.
Yeah, be better, I guess, for image, but it doesn't impact who actually wins the presidency on the national popular vote. But your point in Pennsylvania and Michigan is interesting. Those are popular vote states. So Donald Trump goes into Detroit or Philadelphia, carves off, let's say, some, I don't know, you tell me, what would be a significant percentage of black vote, helps him win Philadelphia, helps him win Pennsylvania, helps him win Michigan. Yeah, we've seen polls all over the place, nationally and in some swing states, about how Trump is just making inroads. He's appealing more to minority voters than, one, he did in the past, and two, any other Republican ever did in the past. And this is a real problem because in some areas, Democratic candidates, in this case Joe Biden, depend on almost unanimous voting from some minority communities. Mm-hmm. And if you can just take 10% of that or 15% of that, they're in trouble. And I think that's what Trump is trying to do. Byron, we've seen the polling when it comes to the black vote, the Latino vote, when it comes to young people, all of which are trending in positive directions for Donald Trump. If you're sitting inside of Joe Biden's camp, what is the constituency right now where you would say, oh, we're doing well here. We're seeing some growth among what? Suburban women? Is that going well for Joe Biden?
Well, I think, first of all, it's a really tiny camp. Biden has a very, very small group of advisors that he listens to. He should listen to more people than he actually does. I think they're probably comforting themselves by the fact that some national polls have shown a slight improvement for Biden after the Trump guilty verdict on May the 30th. Our new Fox poll shows Biden up by 2 nationally, which is extremely close, but it's the first time he's been ahead at all since October of last year. Don't know if that's going to last for very long, but it's happening right now. So I think Biden might be able to take a small amount of comfort in the fact that the lawfare campaign against Trump, at least for the moment, seems to have given him some benefit. And
I'd have to think whatever happens in the CNN presidential debate come Thursday will have a big impact as well. The kind of candidate they see on that stage come Thursday night. All right, Byron York, thank you so much.
Thank you, Will.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.